Earth Defense Force Iron Rain was released a few days ago, and it's really not worth your time. If I had not played through the entire game, I wouldn't even come close to saying you should get this. It took nearly 20 hours for me to have any fun at all. I tried to refund it, but it wouldn't let me. The game is developed by the wrestling devs Yuke's, and it shows. Ants after they die start clipping through the terrain, the dialogue and voice actors are shit, and whoever shipped this game bypassed their quality control. The graphics are something you need to get used to. I wanted to turn the motion blur off, but it was recommended to stay on, but for the first hour I couldn't adjust to what was going on. The controls are difficult to get used to as well, so I had to set my own up, and it was still a bit difficult. Apparently I had gotten lucky, and when I started there was a day one patch implemented for the ability to change the controller scheme. The gameplay. It's a third-person arcade shooter like the rest of the EDF series, and thankfully you can change the viewpoint that's set from that characters to the left of your screen to the classic EDF styled right behind your soldier. You can use 4 different armor types that function as classes, each having different special abilities and stats. You can play as Tom Cruise from Edge of Tomorrow with the ability to dash, Jetpack. I don't know what the fuck this thing is, but it's awesome and has an energy shield and uses 2 guns. And Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan that can control giant insects. Anime was a mistake. There are 51 missions with a variety of defend the building that has hit points, defeat all the enemies, escort and save the AI that appears to have infinite health and doesn't do anything, and about 10 different locations like a San Francisco city, a forest map, and a desert map, and a couple others that are neat. With the first 30 missions being painfully awful, but they get you used to the new enemies and the controls, which there are a good variety of enemies. There are giant ants that can fly, giant jumping wolf spiders who spawn little babies that work like the Flood from Halo, stink bugs, scorpions, giant robots, flying drones that can teleport, alien mantis creatures, a robot that captures humans with electric hands, Godzilla, and more. The enemies later can change color and have different types of attacks and elemental damage types and resistances. There are several damage types including fire, ice, shock, and poison that you can guess what they do. Most enemies explode after they die, which will always cause damage, and the way the game works is if you even touch an enemy, you take damage, which can cause for some unfortunate effects like getting chain body slammed by Godzillas in later missions, or 2 robots or 2 mantises just killing you outright. There's hardly any invincibility frames when you're knocked down, so usually if you get knocked down around bigger enemies, you're going to suffer a lot of damage or die. Some classes that can dash have the ability to quickly recover from a knockdown, while others don't. This also leads to the problem with vehicles. If one gets stuck on rubble or gets kicked by a robot, or if the robot does its one move instant kill, it's destroyed or totally useless, and it will get stuck a lot. The worst part is that the hitboxes stay with the dead enemies, so they pile right in front of you and you can't shoot past them. Though neither can enemies, which can get you stuck and killed. I died a lot in Mission 1 trying to figure this out. Each enemy drops different collectible orbs. Giant insects drop blue orbs, robots drop gold, and the mantis creatures drop red orbs, which are used to purchase weapons and items. There are quite a few weapons: shotguns, assault rifles, rocket launchers, railguns, laser weapons, missile launchers, and even a couple more that you can get after completing each mission, and depending on the difficulty as well. Some weapons can have extra effects like a Gears of War quick reload, stunted aiming, charge abilities, delayed attacks, a damage roulette, different elemental effects, piercing, and some more. The weapons that made the first 22 missions completely unfun and easy, though it wouldn't have been any better without it, was the AW Doppelganger Assault Rifle. You can get it relatively early on hard, and it has a quick reload and knockback effect. The knockback effect makes enemies stagger in place, making the big mantis creatures and the robots that are really difficult in the early game a joke, as they won't be able to attack or move. The items function similarly in that the class can hold a certain amount of items that are given a point value, with Tom Cruise being able to hold the most, which items include item boxes, mines, grenades, vehicles, a couple air raids, sentries, and healing and reviving items. The items cost coins to use in combat, After each mission, your character is paid, and if you use an item at all in combat, it comes out of your mission pay. So summoning a tank that costs 4,500 coins and using a item that costs 1,000 coins will deduct from your mission reward. Because of this, I didn't use most of the items, and frankly a majority of them just suck. So I stuck with the healing items all game, and sentry turrets and one vehicle on desperate missions, with the vehicle dying instantly half the time anyway. To unlock an item or weapon, you have to spend the amount of coins and orbs that it costs after you acquire it from a mission, which in hindsight is a good idea, but sucks in practice. Thankfully, the weapons I unlocked were perfect for me for the entire game, so I didn't have to worry about farming coins or having to go back to missions. My combination was a high damage, fastest reload assault rifle, the AW Doppelganger, and later an AE 2041, and the railgun line, which for the railguns you charge it up to attack. It takes a couple seconds, and then it'll lock your aiming while you're moving for the better variants. And the damage and the reload is really good, and it pierces through enemies. So if you're like in the cave missions and something's stuck in front of you, you just pierce right through it, get all the enemies in a line behind you. You can also spend the coins to upgrade your health or get stylish gear. Thankfully, pre-order came with my male power fantasy type, so SJWs, look out. But there is a no shirt variant that unlocks later. The story's pretty simple. The alien mothership called a Highcraft is attacking the Earth, and it wiped everyone out attacking it but you, who's a generic soldier. And your tutorial mission is that you are activating the legendary overdrive feature of the special armor developed at the time, which later they conveniently forgot how to make it. That is a gameplay feature where you can activate it once a mission, or twice if you had the Fate Energy Port item, and it lets you shoot, move, and reload faster, and have unlimited energy for dashes and moving and whatnot. You defeat the Hivecraft and go into a coma for 7 years to wake up to the world being attacked again, and you're assigned to the Elite Blast Team with the codename Closing. I could honestly give less of a fuck about anyone there, and I could only point you out a few different characters in your squad because one is an obnoxious black guy who gets a lot of voice time, and the other gets zoomed in on later in the game. They try really hard to connect you with them, including loading screen blurbs, and they try to kill some off later, but it just feels awful. You do a variety of missions with the team. You defend high priority areas as EDF is getting paid by sponsors, and they delegate those areas to protect first. You meet the Kindred Rebellion, a group of ex-EDF people who are trying to get energy cores for themselves, and before the game happened, they attacked the original EDF headquarters and stole their shit. The reason for the split was that their families were in low priority defense zones, so EDF didn't deploy at all. You eventually get them to sign a treaty with EDF because their home is being attacked by the human harvesters, and they are literally just 30 people and a ton of civilians, not an actual military, so your team saves them. While fighting the giant aliens, a different Hivecraft returns. It can shoot meteors out, and eventually it teleports a giant creature dubbed Raznik that the Hivecraft can't control, and it eventually kills the Hivecraft. You spend the rest of the game trying to figure out how to beat it while it slowly changes the temperature and geology of the Earth. Then a green gas, similar to the green health energy orbs, revives dead insects, and the shitstorm just keeps going from there. It turns out that the new hidden EDF base is actually a flying battleship known as Verbena that has the giant energy cannon from the Hivecraft 7 years ago strapped on it. One of the last missions has you engage in a Lost Planet-esque fight against the Raznik with the operational codename of Iron Rain, with the bad explanation for why they chose it. The game is a 6 out of 10. The worst of it outweighs the best of it. And while it has good concepts, it's just poorly done, and I expected nothing less from Ukes. The AI is absolute garbage that stands there half the time not doing anything. It was such a slog trying to have fun with it, and when the fun did get on there, I still wanted to just play other games. If I had stopped and did my review earlier, it would have gotten so much more shit. I recommend waiting until it's on sale if you want to try it, but I didn't play it online in the mercenary mode, and seeing some YouTube footage, it still didn't look that fun. So do whatever you want.
Even standard weapons might do it. All units, aim for its injured areas. The area is flashing in red.